Avengers Endgame is an interesting film. I will not mention any spoilers here, no spoilers at all. I don't want to get into anything that might be spoilery-ish. I don't want to ruin anyone's experience. I do have lots to talk about with spoilers, though. I guess I'll put it in another video, but I will not talk about anything at all to do with any specifics of the film here. Do I think that the Avengers Endgame is a good film? Is it worth watching? Obviously, if you don't like Infinity War, this is not the film for you. If you don't like the MCU, this is not the film for you. If you did see the Infinity War and you are interested in seeing the conclusion, I would say you would probably like this. I want to hedge my bets here. I don't know if everybody will like this. Without a doubt, there will be lots of 5-star reviews for this. This will get lots of praise. The film is basically a fan service film, and it's also a fan fiction film. This is written by a fan for fans. It has got loads of fan fiction. It has got lots of stuff concentrating on the 6 original Avengers, and it has a lot of callbacks to all of the other films, or at least most of the other films. I don't think there's any callbacks to the Incredible Hulk. I think that is still the ugly stepchild of the MCU family. So the Incredible Hulk doesn't get much business in, but Thor sort of ish films get some stuff in there, and Iron Man and Captain America and the Avengers, all of that. There is lots of fan service, and it also comes off to be a bit of fan fiction, and I don't mean that in a complimentary way, and I'm not saying the film's bad, but a lot of it seems like it's written by a couple of teenage girls that have said, these are all the things we want to see. We want to see this, and we'll put this in our story. So I think there's going to be a lot of people very happy with this, like exceptionally happy. They're going to be, wow, this is better than I thought it would be. If you're a absolute MCU lover, if you are a fanatic, if you're a true meaning of the word fan, you may think that this is the best film ever. Now, there were some reviews out saying something like that, and I made fun of them in a previous video, and I don't think that they were actually being genuine, but I do think a lot of people will love this film. Not like it, they will love it. And I think if you are a fan of the MCU, and I mean that in its literal sense of the word, as I said before, if you are a fanatic and you've seen them all and you like all of them, and you've watched Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you've watched whatever the Carter thing was called, Marvel Special Agent Carter, whatever that was, and there was another one that had nothing to do with it. If you watched both of those, and you've watched all the MCU films, and you really, really like them, this is the film for you. I cannot recommend this film more highly, okay? This is it. Now, having said that, if you are a big fan, there may very well be things in this that aren't exactly the way you'd want them to go. So you might be like, oh, I thought this would happen and that didn't happen. That could be true. But I think for most of the larger fans, the bigger fans, the quote-unquote true fans, this is a film for them. It's been made for them. Maybe it'll fall off the mark for some people. It has been made for them. That is the main feeling I got from the film. Now, I wouldn't call myself any of those things. I like some of the MCU films, okay? I like them. I like the Avenger films. I particularly like Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man, okay? I like that. And if he's in other films and Robert Downey Jr. is in there being Iron Man, I like those films. I don't like Thor. I don't like Captain America. I don't like the Incredible Hulk. I'm not a fan of those at all. I do like Thor Ragnarok, which I will put a big asterisk next to, saying that is not like the other two Thors. The other two Thors, to me, are terrible. I don't like them at all. But I do like Thor Ragnarok. I like Ant-Man. I like Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I don't know if anyone would call me an MCU fan, but I do like quite a lot of the MCU films. I saw Infinity War again last night. I'm very up to speed on what happened there. I like Infinity War. I saw this film. I didn't hate this film. This film was okay. I don't know if I'd say I like it. Maybe I could say I like it. I'm between okay and like. That's where I'm at. There was a lot of fan service, as I've said, and maybe I'm not really a fan, it seemed over the top and very cheesy. So I think the film depends on where you're at as to how you'll like this film. I think there will be a lot of genuine reviews saying this is the best film ever, and there will be a lot of genuine reviews saying what has happened here, this isn't a film. I can actually see that. That's worse than I think, but I could see some people saying this is an absolute disgrace for a film and it hasn't met my expectations. I can see it. I can see this film being polarizing in the quality of the film, because it is very fan-servicery, whatever the word may be. That's probably not even a word, but we'll go with fan-servicey. So that's what my takeaways with the film. Again, I don't want to get into any spoilers. I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody, but there's a lot here for people that delve deep into the MCU. But I could also see if you delve deep in the MCU, this might not quite go the way you want. So I don't want to necessarily say if you're an MCU fan, you'll love this. But there's a lot here to love if you are an MCU fan, I think, as someone who perhaps isn't an MCU fan. That's perhaps how it could be perceived. The film is 3 hours long, as anyone going in would know. There was a surprising lack of people in my viewing going out to pee. So some people had to leave. I thought there'd be quite a lot. 3 hours is a long time, but there was a surprising lack of people going out to pee. I did make fun of one of the comments that one of the people on Twitter put in another video I had about how they cried 5 or 6 times in the film. I thought that was quite pathetic to be in such a privileged position in life that nothing of any consequence happens in your life, that you would cry at basically a children's film. But there were tears here, okay? People were on board here, so there were people crying. I heard people crying. I didn't cry. I'm not, again, a big MCU fan. I don't hate the MCU. I want to make that clear. I like a lot of the films, but to call me a fanatic, I mean, I've never bought a poster. I don't own any toys. I've seen some films. I like the films, some of them. That's it. People cried. I laughed. There was a lot of laughter. There was some funny points, but there was a lot of emotions. This is an emotional film for the people I saw it with, not the people I know, but the people in there with that I saw it with, and the early sort of quick reviews I saw, not reviews, but the first takes I saw on Twitter, they said it's very emotional. So it is seemingly for a lot of people. This is very emotional. There are a lot of sort of, I don't want to spoil anything, but there are things that people would be emotional about, perhaps, if they're very invested in this film. And again, these people will probably say, give it 100%. This is the best film ever. I could completely see that people say that without just making it up. Okay, so I would think if someone says this has 100%, this is 5-star, this is the best film ever, I would believe them as being genuine. I don't think it's 100%, but I could see that fans of the MCU will love this film. As I said, it's 3 hours long. I think it could have cut an hour to an hour and a half. It felt very, very long to me at the start. Things got rolling a bit in. I didn't really look at the time to see exactly when, but I would estimate maybe 40 minutes to over an hour until things got going for me. So the film has a lot of explanations, and it gives a lot of time to the characters dealing with the snap. Okay, so we know what happened in Infinity War. That's not a spoiler, hopefully. Half the people are dead. This deals with a lot of grief and a lot of, wow, half the people are dead, which is a completely different feeling for me for an MCU film. Okay, this gives a very dark feeling and a very realistic feeling. And that may be fine if they've had this realistic feeling for 22 films, but they've not. So for me, I thought they were switching gears a little bit. But again, if you're an MCU fan, you might enjoy seeing a real reaction from these characters that you know and that you love, to go, yes, of course they're concerned. Like, everyone's dead or half the people are dead. There's been some real horrible things. But for me, to go see a superhero film, I don't think it should have been there. I think the first part of the film should be on a director's cut. It should be bonus footage on a Blu-ray. I don't think it should be in this film. And because the film is 3 hours long, and it would have done better being less than 3 hours long, it could have been cut, as far as I'm concerned. So with that being said, I don't know how the total box office of this film will go. So again, I think there's a lot of red meat here for the quote-unquote true fans. They'll love this. I don't know how many true fans there are that push this thing past $2 billion. So is this film better than Infinity War? I don't know. I first of all, I'll say right now, without really thinking for too long, like saying that several hours ago, I actually saw the film. I'm going to say it's not as good as Infinity War. I enjoyed Infinity War more than this. Now, Infinity War isn't a complete film. It has a big cliffhanger. This is a complete film. This has an ending. And I would say Infinity War is a better film than this. To me, as a non-MCU fanatic. So as a I'm into all the stuff. And I want to be clear, I've seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I've seen whatever the Carter thing is called. I've seen them all. So I'm not saying I'm not up to date with anything. I'm just not particularly that invested in any of them. So I've seen all these films. I've seen all this stuff. I know as much about the MCU as anyone would know watching them. I'm not reading stuff online about the secrets that you've missed, but I know enough. And Infinity War's better for me. So Infinity War is a better film. Now, that's not really that much of a uncompliment, if you like. Infinity War is a good film. So I'm saying this isn't as good as a really good film. I'll go really good. Infinity War is really good. And this isn't as good as a really good film. Is it okay? Is it good? I'm on the fence still. I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that until I see it in Blu-ray. It's not good enough for me to see it twice. So I'll say that first of all. I will not see this in the movies again. I'm not going to go see this 2 times in the movies. It's not that good an experience, especially in 3 hours, to go see for me. I think a lot of people will. I really think there's going to be a core of people that will see this multiple times. There are scenes, again, I don't want to go into spoilers, but there's scenes where there's a lot of stuff going on and there's a lot of action. And George Lucas tried this garbage out with the original prequels, where we'll pack a lot of stuff in, we'll have a lot of things in the scenes, and people have to go back to see it again to see what's happening. It's in here. It feels a little bit like Transformers, parts of it to me. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and what happened there? What's happened here? So there are things that maybe that'll make people go back to see again, but on a whole, I think fans may see this over and over and over again. That could happen. I could definitely see that. Now, for a general audience, if I count myself as a general audience member, I don't think there'll be a lot of repeat viewings. So the overall box office, I would say this film is not going to go absolutely fantastic. So, and what I mean by that is, can this film beat Avatar? Avatar got something like $3.2 billion with inflation. I think it's 2.7 without inflation. This film can't get $2.7 billion without inflation. From what I've seen as someone who's not a hardcore MCU fan, how many hardcore MCU fans are there? Well, I guess if there's enough, this film can go and make $10 billion. Sure. And I do think there's enough here for them to go, yeah, let's go see it 20 times each. It's got that in it. This is... I can't stress it enough. I've said it over and over again so far. This is a fan service film. This is for the fans. And this may be enough to make fans go back over and over and over again. I don't know. I really don't know. But it could be. But for the non-fans, this isn't an exceptional film. This isn't a great film. It might be a good film. I think it's not as good as Infinity War. And so I would say that it's not 100% given that this film beats the Infinity War in the total worldwide box office. So Infinity War, without looking, I think it got around about $2 billion in the total worldwide box office. But having said that, it got something like $850 million when we, count everything up properly in the worldwide opening. I know it's 640, but it's 850 with all the countries. So if we take the 850 off the $2 billion, you get about $1.2 billion after the opening. So what I'm saying is, I think once the openings happened and people discuss it and talk around, I don't know if this film can make $1.2 billion. So Infinity War, again, it made $850 million if you include China and other countries in the opening weekend. The opening weekend made 640, it made 850. It made $2 billion in total. It made basically $1.2 billion after it opened. I don't know if this can do that. Okay, I'm not saying it won't, because I really don't know how you can justify how much money the fans will put in. The true fans, the big fans, okay? Because the word fan is normally watered down to just someone who sort of semi-like something. It means fanatic, and I mean it as fanatic. Will the fans go and see this a lot? I don't know. But they could. But I think this could struggle to make $1.2 billion over its opening weekend. That's what I think right now after having just seen the film. Now, I've also said I think the film might make $1 billion in its opening weekend. I have no idea what the total weekend will actually be, but if it makes $1 billion, I'm still stand by this 1.2 billion over the opening weekend. Okay, so if it makes $1 billion, yeah, maybe it'll get $2.2 billion. If it makes $900 million, yeah, $2.1 billion. That's sort of roughly what I'm thinking. I just think after the hype is gone and the weekend is gone, this film I don't think appeals to a mass audience. This is a film appealing to an MCU audience. If an MCU audience is what, like the Infinity War and got it $2 billion, then yeah, this could double it. This could get $4 billion. Okay, if that's where the $2 billion came from for Infinity War, if that was actually sort of hardcore fans, they'll like this, and they could see it again, they could see it more. $4 billion. It could make that money. And I don't mean that in a joking manner. It could do that if that's what the case is. But I have a feeling that the hardcore fans are probably something like 5, maybe 10%. And if that's the case, the general audience aren't going to see this film more than once. I don't think. And if we want to turn a bit of hatred onto Brie Larson or Captain Marvel, again, no spoilers for the film, but just in general for her, because people don't like Captain Marvel a lot. And I know a lot of people do like her as well. That's why I like talking about her, because the amount of white knights that pop up are always hilarious. But if we want to talk about that, Captain Marvel got over $1 billion. Okay, Captain Marvel got over $1 billion. So how much better is Infinity War over Captain Marvel? I would say between 5 to 20 times. So I'd say 5 times better to 20 times better. So 10 times better, I don't think is exaggerating it. This film is 10 times better than Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel earned $1 billion. So $10 billion. There we go. That's what we should get for this film. Obviously, it won't get $10 billion. But if Captain Marvel can make $1 billion without even having one supervillain in the whole film, put aside the blank face acting that the directors wanted from Brie Larson, there isn't even anyone for her to fight in the whole film. And we got $1 billion. This has got fights galore. We got Thanos. We got all kinds of business going on. Can it make more than that? Of course it can. Can it make $2 billion? I think it is an insult if this film only doubles Captain Marvel's. Okay? But I know that that's not fair. You can't really do that with films and go, this only made X amount compared to that film. But if you just want to do that, it's a very recent film. Should this earn 2 times the amount Captain Marvel earned? Yes, it should earn 10 times. At least. Maybe 20. So this film should earn $20 billion compared to Captain Marvel. So, again, if you've seen Infinity War, you're going to watch this. It's as simple as that. If you don't like Infinity War, you won't watch it. If you didn't see Infinity War, you won't watch it. If you saw Infinity War, you'll watch it. You'll watch this film. You'll see it. Now, will you watch it again? I don't know. I won't watch it again, at least in the movies. I'll watch it again, once it's out after that. But I think that's the real question here. How many people will watch this again? I think it's going to shatter weekend opening records and then have maybe a historic drop afterwards, because you're going from such a high amount of money to maybe just a normal amount of money, or not even normal, a high-ish normal amount of money. So I think there may be a massive drop between first weekend and second weekend for this film, but I think it all depends on how much do the true fans like this film, and I think they could love it. I think they could absolutely love it and propel it. I just don't know how many of those people there are. I'll put out another review, I think. Yeah, we'll definitely do another review with spoilers. There is a lot of things I want to talk about in this film. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in this film. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.